I'm gonna keep my phone ready too,
Hi,
just because I need to.
good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited about this evening. I have a wonderful guest, me and Reverend Antonio Anderson. We go back like baby and pacifiers. I'm so excited to be here this evening. Tony is a dear friend of mine. He married my husband and I called Tony and I was like, Tony, I need somebody to marry us. He said, Boomy, I'm there. Don't worry about it. I'm there. So I'm so excited, Tony. We have so much to talk about. I'm so excited that you're with me this evening. Reverend Antonio Anderson, please tell everyone your name and who you are.
I am Antonio D. Anderson. I am the proud pastor of the Mount Tabor Baptist Church of Germantown. I am an author of a book called Seven Successful Principles for Single Mothers Raising Sons.
Yes.
I am the son of the late Denise Sharon Anderson.
Yes.
And I'm just proud to be a Black man in America, trying to empower our people to live a greater life.
I'm so excited. So let's get into it. It's very Convo with the CEO, just a conversation for you and I, Tone. Very relaxing. So talk about Tone. How was it growing up? Where did you grow up?
I'm born and raised in the heart of North Philadelphia,
Okay.
26 in Allegheny, born on raised
Ooh, what you said, 26 in Allegheny?
26 in Allegheny.
I know that's right, Tone.
I am the 2900 block of Bambi Street. I am was birthed by a single Black mother at the age of 17.
Wow.
Had me, raised me to be the man that I am today. And,
Yes.
her principle was, I can't teach you to be a man, but I can raise you to be a great person. And so I took
Wow.
those same
How
principles.
powerful.
Yeah, I took those same principles and I shared them with other young mothers and other young men. And I put them all into a book because I found myself working with mothers, working with young sons, and I saw the same struggle that they had. And
Mm-hmm.
growing up in North Philly, my mother said to me, listen, I can't protect you from the streets, but I can protect you from yourself. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to teach you. I'm going to teach you three things. You do these three things, and you would never have a problem with no one else. She says, never mess with a man's money, his woman, or his food. You do those three things. She says, son, you do those three things and you will never have a problem with another man. And I
Wow.
live by those principles. And I teach those same principles because whenever you hear about struggles or troubles in the community, you ask
Mm-hmm.
what happened, who was harmed, who said
Yes.
what, who did what.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
raising me in North Philly, in the heart of North Philly, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we had a village. I
Yes.
lived with my grandmother, had my four aunts, my neighbors. We had our village.
Yes.
Miss D's on this side, Mr. Mary on this side, the Wrights across the street, the Thomases across the other side of the street. We had our,
Wow. It
and
was a village. It
it
was a
was a
village.
village. If you
Yes.
did something wrong, they would say Mom and Pop Tucker, who were old Christian folk, used to go to Mount Sinai and say, "I'm gonna tell Denise when she get home," and because you knew the village watched out for you,
That's right. That's
and
right.
we missed that village growing up now.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids don't have that no more.
No.
But I certainly had my village.
Mhm.
The Waltons up the street, the Wilsons down the street. Next door, we had the Washingtons. They was faithful Jehovah Witnesses. And across the street, we had some other Jehovah Witnesses. And despite our religions and our differences, this was our village. And all of
That's right.
our children grew up on that same block. And all of our children survived. And none of us
Wow.
have ever been murdered or loss of life or loss of life
Wow.
early because of that village. That village
Yes.
insulated us. And I think our kids these days are missing the village we had growing up.
Yes. 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 So let's talk about what school did you go to here in Philadelphia?
We moved around a lot because my mom, again, as a single mother, she went where the job was plentiful.
Yes.
And so I started off at Pastor's Elementary School, and then I graduated from E. Washington Rose in eighth grade.
Okay.
Went to Parkway High School,
Okay.
Parkway High School for 3 years because I actually
Mhm.
in 3 years. Parkway was a school where you can go to and you can take as many credits as you want. And
Okay.
after 3 years, I had enough credits to graduate. And so I was
Wow.
really still in high school. And then the next year, right after high school, I went into the U.S. Army and served 4 years as a U.S. soldier, protecting our people from foreign and domestic
I
terror.
did. I didn't know that, Tom.
Yeah, 4 years, U.S. Army. I did my basic training and advanced individual training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Right
Okay.
after Fort Jackson, then I went to Zweibrücken, Germany,
Okay.
where I learned my German. I speak better German than I speak Spanish, and lived in Germany for 2.5 years. After that, came back to Aberdeen Proving Ground and left Aberdeen Proving Ground, finished my term, and
Okay.
came to Temple University, where I got to meet this young lady who was just
Yes. So
crazy
that's what we
in the
met.
library. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Tom, we met at Temple University
He,
with our famous twins who are
the,
inviting commercials now.
the,
They're inviting commercials now. They're
the
big time,
twin
Tom.
sister docs don't even know us no more. They rolling with the next president. They don't even know us no more. But yes, those were the days when we used to gather in the library. They studying, we laughing.
We
Yeah,
laughing and eating.
right.
And they telling us we got 10 more minutes because they
Right.
can make a deep study. And
Yeah,
we up there playing around, Tom.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got it.
So Tom, what inspired you when you were young to get into the to make you want to become a pastor?
Well, I grew up in the church. My
Okay.
mother sent me to church. Uh,
Okay.
she didn't necessarily go, but she made sure I get up, got on my suit, my three-piece suit, went
Okay.
to the house, and I used to go to Christ-like PG Faith Baptist Church, Reverend Smalls, and every Sunday my mom was famous for playing WDS, Louise Williams.
I
We
know that's right.
we listen to
Yeah.
gospel music on Sundays, and
Hmm.
you hear Louise Williams say, "Mel these meats in the gallery. Mel these meats. Got your best meat." And we listen to the Clark sisters and Richard Smallwood, and all those famous gospel singers that we grew up with. But I went to church every Sunday, and
Okay.
growing up, you knew you had to go to church. But we used to play church. You
Yes.
always used to imitate the preacher. You'd be on the street corner and you'd be like, "And God said, ha," and the Lord said, ha. My grandma said, "You better stop playing the Lord for to get a hold of you." And
Yes.
because people used to love for me, they knock on my door and say, "Hey, can man come outside and act like he a preacher?" And I come outside like, "Y'all better get in the house, huh? For God get you, huh?" And my friends would be cracking up. And
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I became an adult,
Okay.
and I was in Germany, and I was living my life. I was in the military, and in the military, let me tell you something. It's a wild kind of life.
I
We
know.
are
Is
we
it
are
wild? Tom, you living your best life.
yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. It was that good. It was. I mean, we partied from Wednesday night to Monday morning. Like,
Oh my
it
God.
was a different party and club we went to every night when I was in Germany.
Hmm.
And I was a designated driver because I never drank. So I was
Yeah.
always a designated driver. And so one day we was out, and I noticed everybody left me at the club. It was like
Yeah.
Sunday morning, 3 a.m. And I was an hour away from where I live.
Yes.
Like, everybody left. They all,
Yes.
they all got booty calls and they left me. So I'm at the club, and an hour away in Germany is like 2.5 hours somewhere else.
Oh my
Because
God.
Autobahn,
Hmm.
we drove 150 miles an hour on Autobahn. That was the speed limit was like 100 on up. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a straight shot wherever you was going.
Yeah.
And one particular day, I looked around. There was nobody there,
Yes.
but one guy who lived in my duty station, and I didn't really care for him, but I
Yeah.
needed a ride back. And I was like, "Hey man, I need it. Can I get a ride with you, bro?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, come on with me, bro. Come on." I said, "All right, cool." We get in the car. It's like 3 a.m. Sunday morning, and it was Palm Sunday. And we driving down the Autobahn, and all of a sudden, we in a Mazda 626, and we driving like 90, 95 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And he falls asleep behind the wheel
Oh,
and hits a Mercedes Benz. And our car ricocheted and spun around 3 times, went into the guardrail, and got out the car. We made it. And I stood behind the car, and I was like trying to gather myself together.
yes.
And while I was standing there, it was a car that was coming so fast, but I thought he saw us. We was literally on the right side of the road, and he hit the back of our car, missed me by like less than the fingertip,
Oh,
and kept on going. And my life flashed before my eyes.
oh my God.
And I said to myself, what in the world is happening? And I remember before that, my drill sergeant, my staff sergeant kept saying, "Do you know the Lord?"
Hmm.
He kept asking me that question. He'd come in the room. He says, "Hey, son, do you know the Lord?" And I would never answer him. And he would say, "Do you hear the Lord calling you?" And I just wouldn't answer because I was an adult now. I ain't go to church no more. I was on
Yes.
my own. I was partying. I was doing whatever.
Yes.
And the MPs, the military police from Germany came and picked us up, took us back to our duty station. It was about 5 a.m. We had to fill out all these reports. And I left station about 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Walked up to my barracks in Germany, and I took a shower. I got dressed, put my church clothes on, and I said, I don't care what time church is opening. I'm going to church.
I know that's right, Tom.
I turned around, left my house about 7. Church opened at 9. I stood outside from 7 to 9 a.m. for the church doors to open. And when it opened up, I went in and I sat down. And mind you, I've been up all night from partying.
Overnight. All night.
So I was literally asleep when the service started. But at the end of the service, I can hear the preacher say, "Is there anybody want to give their life to the Lord?" And it was at that moment that I made a recommitment to give my life to the Lord and to accept Christ as my Savior. And that's my journey. And that's what got me to where I am. And that started the process for me because it's all a process. It started the process for me. And then I can hear several months later, my sergeant saying to me, he says, "Do you hear God calling you?"
Yes.
And now I'm ignoring him. I'm just going to church. I'm having a good time. He said, "Son, the Lord has a calling on your life." And I'm listening, but I'm not paying him no mind. I leave Germany. Persian Gulf War just ended. I get the transfer back to Aberdeen Proving Ground. And
Aberdeen, Maryland. Aberdeen, Maryland.
Yep. Aberdeen, Maryland. People don't know there's a military base there.
I never knew that.
It's hidden because it's literally where most of the weapons and bombs and artillery is kept for the U.S. is at Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Now, Tom, what you're not going to do is get us blown up. That's what you're not going to do up in telling secrets. That's what you're not going to do.
It's there. It's there, and but it's a hidden base. But it's and it was one week. I came home every weekend. I'm in Maryland. I catch the train. I'm in Philly in 45 minutes.
Yes.
This particular weekend, I didn't leave. I stayed in Maryland. And it was that weekend when I heard the Lord who called me to preach. And
wow, Tony.
I was like, nah, I ain't trying to do all that. I can't, I stutter, I ain't ready for all that. And I just kept hearing God calling me. And after 2 years, when I got out the military, I
Yes.
came home, joined the church, and I finally admitted to my pastor I was called to preach. And he said to me, he said, I knew it. I was just waiting on you to tell me, you know.
Mm.
And that started the journey.
Yes.
And then, so here I am
Mhm.
at Temple University, trying to live my best life, trying to have fun. And
Yes.
this, planning to go to law school. I was going to law school. I was going
Mhm.
to be a lawyer. I was going to be the first lawyer in my family, first to graduate from college in my family. And
Mhm.
when the calling became serious and I answered that calling,
Mhm.
that was when I decided to switch from law school to seminary.
Wow.
So I've been on this journey ever since. And
Oh, Tony.
it's there, and haven't looked back. And we try to keep loving, keep pushing, keep
Mhm.
empowering
Mhm.
people, and
Mhm.
expanding as a person, um,
Mhm.
and helping people to understand that living your life, whatever calling you have in your life, you have to give it your all,
Yes.
be your all, do your all, and be the
Mhm.
best at it.
Yes.
And that's what I try to tell people all the time.
Yes. That is great. So, how do you? I know that you were also that's almost so you finished school, you went to seminary, you became so. How does that journey work in regards to how do you find a church to reside in, or do they find you? How does that work? I don't know. So I'm speaking
Yes.
really out of innocence. I don't
No,
know.
no, no, no. It's different. So when I first answered my call to preach, I was
Mm-hmm.
licensed to preach in the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
In the AME Church and AME, CME, Christian Methodist Episcopal, AME Zion,
Mm-hmm.
you are assigned to pastor a church by the bishop in that area. So
Okay.
once
Okay.
you get licensed and then ordained, and a church opens up and your name is on the list, the bishop will interview you in that area. And if a church becomes open and your name is on the list, the bishop says, I'm going to assign Reverend Antonio Anderson to pastor Jones Tabernacle AME Church.
Yes.
And you stay there as long as the bishop says for you to stay there, or they
Okay.
might move to another location. Now,
Okay.
in the Baptist church, Baptist churches are independent, so you have to go looking for them. And
Okay.
there are websites, in particular church websites, National Baptist websites that advertise a church that's looking for a pastor. And
Mm.
you find a church,
Uh-huh.
you study them, look for compatibility, you pray, ask
Yes.
God if you believe this for you, and
Yes.
you send me your resume. And most of them want your resume, your background, your license, your ordination. They want to hear you preach, and that's not the process. And it can
Yes.
be very long because some churches you can be one of 500 candidates, uh,
Wow.
of 80 candidates, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a very daunting task. Uh,
Okay.
and then you have to pray that um, you choose the right church and the right church choose you.
Yes.
Because I want to tell you, um, everyone everyone has smoke and mirrors in the beginning. It's like when you dating somebody in the very beginning,
Everything is good. Everything's
everything is
good.
everything's good,
Yes.
everything's sweet, everything is lovely. But then after about 6 months to a year, she was like, what did I get myself into? Y'all did not tell me this. And so I've had those moments where I woke up
Okay.
and like, how did I get here? Lord,
Okay,
I'm not
so
supposed to be here. So you've had those moments. Uh,
yes,
but it's a learning experience.
yes.
What most people don't take into account is you're not only being called, but your family comes with you. And
I was
so
going to ask you. That was going to be my
when you
next question.
when you
Yes.
go through a situation, you have to take into account that your family comes with you. And
Yes.
churches don't think about that. And so if things go wrong and they want to kick you out, they will
Yes.
kick you out and tell you go about your life. Well, wait a minute. I gave up my life back here moved to
y'all.
town, living in y'all house. Y'all paying me my salary. Now you kicking me out. I have nothing. I gave up everything,
Wow,
and I
Tony.
my whole family.
Yes.
So it's a trust, it's a faith move, and it's a trust move. And
So
I,
Tony, how do you protect yourself from that?
you know, there are
Because
all
I
kinds
know
of
my mom
ways.
said, God bless the child that has his own now. You gotta have something.
So let me give you my experience. You know, me born and raised in Philadelphia, grew up in Philadelphia, love Philadelphia, but
Yes.
I also believe that the Bible says a preacher's not loved in his own home, paraphrasing. And so in other words, you have to go somewhere else where people don't know you, for people to really to respond to you. And
Okay.
so I went to New York. I went to pastor
Okay.
church in Harlem. And
Wow. Harlem.
Harlem. I was in Harlem, New York. I was passing this church. Started there. They had about 400 members. Instantly, people started coming and joining. We went up to about 600 members. The money went. We jumped about $1 million and more than what we was given. Uh,
Ooh.
oh yeah, it was beautiful, and then
Yeah.
everything was lovely. And then the mask came off, and it was like, who are these people? And how did I
Wow.
get here? And it just became a situation that came to a dire head.
Okay.
And after 5 years, they literally kicked me out, told me, get out their house 2 weeks before Christmas, fired me, voted me out, no salary, nothing left. Me, my wife, and my two little girls, who were 5 and they were 6 and 5 at the time. And so
Wow,
here I am.
Tony.
I have nothing. I have nothing. I,
Wow.
and I can't go back home. I can't. My mom just died. I can't go back home. What am I going to do? I'm a grown man. I'm not going home. And so, literally, it was a lesson that I had to learn. That says, "All right, Lord, you got me here in New York.
Yes. Yes.
I trust
Yes.
you.
That's right, Tony.
I'm believing on you.
That's right,
I'm
Tony.
leaving in your hands."
Yes.
So that was the first Sunday in December.
Yes.
Second Sunday in December, we get up to get dressed to go to church. My wife said, "Well, baby, we'll be going to church because they said we can't come back there no more." I said, "Well, we can't come back there no more, but we're going to church. That's what we do. We go to
Yes.
church." And
Yes.
so literally got my car. My family didn't know where we was going. And I drove around the corner to Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon. Grace Baptist Church, Dr. Franklin Richardson. And I was sitting there, and he saw me in the audience. Church got 4,000 members. And he says, "Hey, Reverend Anderson is here." He says, "I want him to stand up so y'all can see him." Now, the thing about Dr. Richardson was best friends with the pastor who I followed of the church that kicked me out. So he
Ooh.
knew all about them. He
Yes.
knew how they were because he knew how they treated his best friend who had
Yes.
passed. And that's how I got to the church. And so we went there a couple more Sundays, and then second Sunday, pastor called me. He says, "Hey, I want you to come preach." And here I am preaching at his church, second
Yes.
Sunday in January, preached a
Yes.
9 o'clock and an 11 o'clock service. And then the fourth Sunday, he says, "I want you to preach again. The people loved you."
Wow, Tony.
I said, "Okay." I preached again. And he says to me at the second service, he says, he wasn't there. He said, "I'm going to call you. And we want to sit down and talk when I get back." Came back to town. He says, "Listen, I want to bring you on staff as a full-time associate pastor." That was all she wrote. Here I am trying to figure out
Wow.
where I'm going to get paid from, how I'm going to feed my family, where we going to live. And he literally offered me a job on staff. 2 months later, I'm on staff at the largest African-American church in Westchester County and one of the largest churches in New York. 4,500 people, over $4 million budget. I'm on staff, and he already had 24 ministers there at the church. And so literally, God opened the door. Pastor took to me. and God's been so good to me since then.
Wow, Tony, what a testimony,
Yeah,
Tony.
I didn't. My family didn't miss a meal. They didn't miss a beat. Nothing. It was just like God provided, because I had to realize, Lord, if you brought me here, I gotta trust in you to
That's right.
bring me through it. And
That's
yeah,
right.
there were some moments when I was angry, I was upset. I'm like, I left my family, I left folk for all this. But here was God showing me, I brought you here. I
That's
got
right.
something greater for you to do.
That's right.
And so it's really been a great experience that I love. And after being on staff for 2 years, I decided to return back home uh,
Okay.
to Philadelphia.
Okay.
My family was getting older, and I realized they needed me. And I was now the man in my house, man in my family, really.
That's right.
Getting older. So I returned home to be with my family and start a church here in Philadelphia. And that's been a wonderful journey. And then landed at Mount Tabor Baptist Church.
Wow. So Mount Tabor Baptist Church is not the church you started. That's a
No,
separate.
no. So I started Hope Church Philly. And
Yes.
Hope Church was a church. That name came out. There was a young lady. I was in New York, and we was praying about a name for the church. And
Mm-hmm.
there was unfortunately, a young lady at a charter school who was watching a fight, and she walked away, and some shots rang out, and one of the bullets pierced her in the heart, and she died instantly. And I was reading that newspaper. My heart was so broken for that family.
Yes.
And I said, my city of Philadelphia, we just need hope. Hope for our children, hope for tomorrow. And instantly the Lord said, that's the name of your church, Hope Church. And
Wow, Tony.
that's how I got the name Hope Church. And
Okay.
we came back to Philadelphia. We planted Hope Church Philly
Yes.
in the East Oak Lane and West Oak Lane area.
Yes.
And we grew that church for a couple of years, and then an opportunity came at Mount Tabor Baptist Church, where you saw me,
Yes.
and that door opened, and we took that opportunity, and we've been there ever since December 2017, and it's been a wonderful journey.
So you're going on 3 years there, Tony, next month?
Yes, yeah, and then COVID hits.
Yes. I was going to ask you, so how has the whole church, I guess the whole church world, how has that changed during this pandemic? And how have you been able to pivot during this pandemic, Reverend Anderson?
So here's the thing about Black people. We adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that you have to adapt really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first couple of weeks, Boomy, I was shook. When we had to close our doors in February, March,
Yes.
was it March?
March.
Mm-hmm. First, we had service on first Sunday. Second service, that Saturday night, I decided, after hearing the CDC reports and hearing all the reports, I decided we got to shut church.
Mm-hmm.
Shut down, no church service until we get further clarification. And that whole month of March, I was shook. I was sitting there, I'm laying in my bed, I'm praying, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm like, what do we do now?
Yes.
But remember, Jesus never started a building for a church service. Jesus always went to the people.
Mm-hmm.
When you read the Bible, you only catch Jesus in church 4 times throughout the Bible.
Wow.
Jesus always went with the people.
Okay.
And so I had to realize that maybe this pandemic was really challenging the church to get back to what Jesus really intended for us to do, is to go and meet people right where they were. So I literally went and got some equipment, got some lights, got some cameras, and went on Facebook. And then went on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then have to ask ourselves, how can we still minister to the community? How can we still be there for the community? And so we still have wonderful things. We still have opportunities to feed the community. And so we have to really, like you say, shift and pivot real quick.
Yes.
But we are really now being the church that I believe God has always intended us to be in
Yes.
the first place. And
Wow.
so, before that, we never had cameras. We never had lights. We never had none of that stuff. And so
Yeah.
we had to adapt, we had to pivot, get cameras, get lights, get on Facebook, get streaming services, or to restream, get online. And here's the thing, we are reaching more people now than we did when we went to the building.
I was getting ready to ask you that, Tom. So how have the numbers increased?
So numbers increase because on Facebook, we get so many viewers. On YouTube, we get few viewers, but on Facebook, we get so many viewers. Now we get people who are literally, you got friends of mine, family members, giving to the church who've never given before. Why? They get to go on Facebook, hear the message, see the work that we're doing, and now they want to sow seeds into our ministry. And so now we're seeing that the growth mindset of the church is we're reaching more people. And we have to make sure our messages is messages of love, messages of hope, messages of empowerment that reach the people right where they are. And so I'm seeing a greater outreach than ever before. And here's the thing, Boomy, there is no mega church on Facebook.
I know that. Hey, Tony, I know that's right. Yep. It don't matter, Tony. It don't matter.
All of us have the same amount of members. Facebook. It's all about who you reach, what you're saying, what you're dealing with, what you're talking about. And the thing I know about people, I grew up in the hood. Folk know fake from real instantly.
Yes, they do.
If you're not real, they're cutting you off. If you hear something they need to hear, they tuning in. And so this is the time when the real church stands up and gets noticed, and people begin to hear. And so we're able to reach more people on a greater scale than ever before. And now we're starting to have a conversation about what it would take for us to get back in the building. And so we're doing little small things. We order all PPE equipment, hand sanitizers, face masks, gloves, Clorox wipes and everything. Those things are now in the church. So when you walk in the church for anything right now, you have to put on your face mask. You have to use hand sanitizer. Now we order temperature equipment to take your temperature. And so we're having conversations of what it's going to be like for church to be open back up, because we are planning to have our first worship service on Thanksgiving.
Are you, Tony? Okay.
Yeah, but it's going to be socially distanced, and it's going to be limited, and you must register in advance.
Okay.
And everyone's going to have assigned seats.
Okay.
So
you're following all the protocol to make sure that your constituents, to make sure that your parishioners are safe.
I am, unlike our president, I am following Dr. Fauci.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I am listening. I am reading CDC guidelines. And think about it. Church was considered, and is considered, a super spreader.
Wow.
So there were churches who were mega churches who were refusing to stop having worship.
Yes.
What happened? It spread throughout the congregation. Churches in New York, unfortunately, New York was hit really bad.
What, among the churches, the mega churches?
Churches, period, because of New York.
Yes.
My former church that I pastored, it didn't go well. It didn't end well. But unfortunately, many people that I knew, who I was close to, died because of COVID.
Wow, sorry to hear that.
They had over 15 deaths in the church I used to pastor.
Wow.
COVID, because New York, Boomy, everyone's on top of each other.
That's right.
Everyone lives, subways, buses, stores, communities, they're all on top of each other. And so they didn't really have time to protect themselves before they could figure out what was happening. And when they found what was happening, people were dying already. And so, like my former church administrator, church trustees, very, very people that I love had died before they can figure out what was happening. And so even in Philadelphia, I am very cautious
Yes.
about church and making sure that people are protected. I'm protected.
People are safe. People
People
are
are
safe.
safe,
Yes.
and making sure that we're all doing the right thing. And
Mm-hmm.
if the CDC comes out and say there should be no church, then I'm going to follow that rule.
I know that's
As
right.
of
Good.
now, I'm planning to have one service on Thanksgiving. We're going to
Okay.
see how that go, and then we'll evaluate that.
Okay.
But if before that, Dr. Fauci and CDC come out and says all churches need to be shut down immediately, we will not have service because it's
Okay.
all about the protection of the people. We'll
That's
be
right.
on FaceLine, we'll be on Facebook, we'll gather on conference calls, we'll gather on restream services like this, and we'll have
Mm-hmm.
just like that again.
Yes. So, Tony, as we wind down, Tony, we have the election tomorrow. I'm going to give you, what do you think about this election? What would you tell people about this election? Two questions. What would you tell people about this election, the importance of it? And also, people who have anxiety and stress and whose faith is really wearing, what would you tell them? So, two questions.
So tomorrow's election is one of the biggest in our time, one
Yes.
of the most important in our time.
Yes.
And you have to get out and let your voice be heard.
Yes.
Whoever you're voting for, you have to let your voice to be heard. Because if
Yes.
you don't vote, you don't have a voice.
Yes.
I believe that if we would have had the same energy in 2016 that we have now, we
Mm-hmm.
would not be in this position. And
Yes.
maybe we are in this position to teach us to have an urgency of now.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
must
Mm-hmm.
be urgent. Tomorrow, I'm getting up first thing in the morning, 7
That's
a.m.
right.
I'm going to the
That's right.
polls. I'm going to
Yes.
stand there no matter how long it takes, and I'm going to cast my vote. Now, here's the thing about it. Don't worry about having anxiety, because at the end of the day, when you cast your vote, that's all you can do, and
That's right.
wait for the results. And when
Yes.
the results come in, we will see who is the victor. And
Yes.
whoever is the victor, we have to be able to hold them accountable,
Yes.
because what I know about the Democratic Party is oftentimes they take the black vote for granted. They
Mm.
support us for our vote, but they do nothing for us afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot court us, come to our churches, come to our synagogues, come to our mosques, come to our homes, come to our community, court us for our vote to get you over the top, and don't do nothing for us.
Yes.
And what happened was they missed the black vote in 2016.
Yes.
This is why we got where we are, because they missed that vote. Now we got a sister,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful black sister, Kamala Harris, who is also an AKA. And here's my secret sauce. I
Yes.
believe the Divine Nine, the AKAs, the Deltas, the Alphas, the Kappas, the Sigmas, the Qs, I believe they're going to be the secret sauce, and they are going to pit the Biden and Harris team over the top. I
Okay.
believe that the Divine
Okay.
Nine is going to be the secret to getting over the top. It's my hope and my prayer. And at the end of the day, whoever's in the White House, we still must hold them accountable
Accountable. Yes.
and do our thing as African Americans. So don't be anxious. Go vote, cast your vote, and make sure your voice is heard. Because if you don't vote, your voice can be heard. And our people, our ancestors, our foremothers, our forefathers died, walked long miles for us
Yes.
to have this freedom to vote.
Yes.
So cast your vote, if not for yourself, for your seed, for your grandchildren, for your foremothers and your forefathers who couldn't get the chance to vote like we have tomorrow.
That's right. That's great. Tony, this has been great. Thank you so much. And for people, Tony, as we wind down, for people who are feeling weary, who are anxious, who are stressed, what would you tell them whose faith is not as strong as it was in the beginning of this year? What would you tell them as our final words?
I will say to them, thank you. I will say to them, God did not bring us this far
Yes.
to leave us now.
Yes.
Don't be weary in well doing.
Mhm.
In due season, you shall reap if you faint not. In other words, hold on,
Yes.
because greater is coming. I
Yes.
know you probably had a rough 2020. I know you probably had a rough past couple of months, and some of
Yes.
you out there, you have lost loved ones through COVID.
Yes.
You yourself might have had COVID, and I want to tell you this: if God still have you here, that means He is not through with you yet. So hold on, be encouraged, keep trusting in the Lord, and watch God open a greater door for you. And what you're going through now will not be compared to what God has the door to be open for you in 2021. So I'm excited about your future. So don't be anxious. Keep hope alive. Keep believing. Keep trusting, and keep walking by faith.
Wow. Thank you so much, Reverend Anderson. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. Everyone, please go where can they pick up your book, Tone? Reverend Anderson, where can they pick up your book?
My book is on Amazon.
Yes.
7 Successful Principles for Single Mothers Raising Sons. You can go to Amazon. I wrote that book for single mothers. My mom raised me as a single mom.
Yes.
I literally met my father when I was 42 years old.
Wow,
And
Tony.
so that was an interesting conversation. But before that, it was just my mom and I. And so I wrote that book from a son's perspective of what
Mm-hmm.
a son desires his mother to know about him, and
Yes.
also to empower our mothers, because I'm also an administrator with the School District of Philadelphia. I work at South Philadelphia High School, the best high school in the city of Philadelphia, and I deal with mothers and sons all
Good
day
time.
long. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I do?
Mm-hmm. What?
Give them a copy. I give them a copy of my book. Mom,
Yes.
read my book. Mom,
Yes.
here it is. It's all in here. So you can go to Amazon, 7 Successful Principles for Single Mothers Raising Sons. And it's not just for single mothers, it's for parents, period. I've
Yes.
had fathers, I've had single fathers request this book and purchase this book.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Wow.
are raising a child, there are 7 principles that my mom used to raise me that's in that book, and I
Yes.
share them with you as well. So go to Amazon, pick up the book, and at the same time, make sure you pick up my girl's Boomy book, and let's all read together.
Yes. Thank you so much, Reverend Anderson. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You're watching Odunde 55, Convo with the CEO. We're going to take a break now for the winter, but we will resume. Please follow us on Instagram at Odunde Festival. Go to our website, odundefestival.org, and our program will resume probably in January. We've got some things in motion for you guys. But thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you, everyone. Delana, Lexi, everybody. Thank you for joining us and watching. Thank you, Reverend Anderson.
Thank you, Boomy. And we need a Doom Day next year. I can't do
Yes, we
nothing
do.
without Doom Day.
That's what
I
we do.
can't
God
do it.
willing. Yes, God willing, we'll have Odun Day.
Thank you. God bless
All
you
right.
all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Peace.